What is happening, beautiful people? Ligama lami ngu-Usiphile, and welcome to the 7th episode of Usiphile on the platform. So this is part 2 of the episode that I released last week. And the reason why, because I think at the end of the episode, I was going to check whether or not my battery was depleting quickly, and it was. So then I decided to myself, and while I was checking that, I saw that I was actually on the 17-minute mark. So I decided, you know what, instead of patching it up and having it as a long episode, I'm gonna break it into 2. So this is gonna be the second part of that episode. Okay. And I was just basically going through. This episode is more of a reflective episode where I'm going through the comments that have been left under the comment section in the YouTube channel. And so if you haven't watched last week, please do, so that you can at least get an idea of how everything is flowing. Because if you catch it now, you'll just find me like in the middle of the episode, and you won't really understand what I'm talking about. But I had just completed the second episode, like just reflecting on the comments that I found in the second episode. And so now I am gonna start talking about the third episode. So the title of the third episode was TEIANTS. And for those who didn't really catch it in the moment, that acronym or whatever it means this episode is a note to self. And the reason why I named it that is because while I was recording the episode, I realized, because I think that episode came at a time where, like I said, after the second episode, I was very like down and under, or rather in the second episode I was like, I'm not really sure if I want to do this anymore. I don't know why I'm doing this, and if I'm really ready to continue. And while I was recording this episode, it was like I was very like lively, and towards the end I realized, no man, actually this is an episode that I'm gonna come back to quite a lot, just to hear myself and to see that shift in mindset as far as the journey is concerned. So that's why I named it like it was a note to self, because I felt like, hey, actually I'm talking to myself here, and this is something that I would have liked to hear, and something that I know down the road will definitely be beneficial for me to remember. Okay. And then the opening comment is from Asanda. She said, I'm so grateful for your consistency, and I cannot wait to experience this journey with you. And I think in this episode I touched a lot on consistency, where I spoke about, like I was talking about, like getting started is one thing, but being consistent is a different beast. And that's an element that I really needed to work on, because now I got started sharp and I expected things to be easier, but they weren't. And I realized now that I had started, I needed to be consistent, and that was very difficult, because I needed to be consistent and to record and to keep dropping every week in, week out. And so like that's what she was talking about. No, Nicolo also, consistency is more important than perfection. I actually liked this comment. It's one of those quotables, one of those quotables where it says consistency is more important than perfection. And I think someone has said something similar in the past, where they said to me, like, I should strive for progress and not for perfection. Because people say practice makes perfect, right? I said, don't strive for perfection, strive for progress, because then progress is ongoing. And when you're always striving for progress, you always want to be a better version of yourself, which is great for growth and for like learning purposes. So this is like one of them, who says consistency is more important than perfection. Don't try to perfect it now. Just be consistent. You don't have to drop the perfect episode, but just be consistent and just keep dropping it and giving people what they actually want to get, or what they have subscribed for. So yeah. And so I commented like, ooh, that's a gem I'm gonna put in my bag, and I definitely did. Yeah, and then we got another comment there from Silas Beats. What's up? Already seeing the growth and awareness between the episode. The energy is up, your posture and the tone of your voice are good, and you're articulating your thoughts in a dope way. Which is something, this is also something that's been very, I think I did touch on, where I said, like, for me, it was very important just for me to be able to articulate my thoughts. For me, that's very important. Just for me to say, this is what I'm thinking, and this is how I want to relay the message, because I always want to relay the message in a way that you understand it the way that I understand it. So yeah, that's why it might feel like I'm like so focused or like so drawn to this thing of like being able to articulate, or like the obsession to be able to express myself in a way that makes sense to me, because one of the things I don't like, and that I beat myself up about sometimes, is when I say something and I'm like, bro, I could have said that differently, or I could have said it like this. That really gets to me sometimes. So yeah. So then it was also nice, just like I'm articulating my thoughts. A bit of affirmations there. And then it says, the coach I followed said, watch your own content with the volume off to focus on your body language. And then he shares his own experience that I cringed when I did that with my own stuff. My hands were stuck in place, clutching my thighs because of nervousness. Then they said to listen to your own content without seeing yourself, to gauge the life in your voice. So yeah, and this is really like this is what I spoke about, I think, in the second episode, where I said I need people to be honest with me. Like, like sometimes wanting to see someone make it doesn't mean you have to give them like the positive, or like rather like the you're doing great. Like, you can share that, which is important, but also like just provide a bit of like, some of the gems that you have, or like just advice here and there. And it doesn't have to be like direct where it says you suck at doing this. It can be just like, hey, yo, man, you know what? This is what I've come across. I think it might help you with this. Take it or leave it, So this is a dope. Like, whenever I go through comments like this, or like whenever I have a conversation and someone offers me this kind of advice, I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty dope, because it allows me to think beyond just thank you. I can say thank you, which I am grateful for, but then I can do something about it after, where now I'm like, okay, in order for me to be more conscious of how I speak into the mic or how I look on camera, because I've spoken about like it's a different ball game when you have to face the camera like this, which is why sometimes you like find me like looking around. So because I don't want to look at the camera, or maybe sometimes because I'm thinking, but it was, these are the nice advices where it's like, listen to your think, what you think without the volume, so you can see your body language, and you're not just sitting like this the whole time, and you're saying happy things, but you're sitting like this because you're so nervous about the camera. And then following that, remove the visuals and listen to the audio and see if you actually have life in your voice. Are you going up? Are you going down? Are you keeping the same volume? Is it monotone? And how are you receiving it as an audience? Which is something that I think has kind of helped me as well, just to progress with my episodes, where I become the audience. So I find myself watching the episode not because I'm conceited in any way, but because I actually want to see myself on camera. I want to hear what I'm saying, and I want to see how I can make it better for you guys. And so I think that's very important, man. And then you mentioned that with consistency, I think it becomes easier when there's a habit in place. You've already done so much. Looking forward to the next episode. Dope stuff. And then Usimpiwe shares he commented something that I spoke about, where I said life never becomes easier, we just become better at it. Yeah. It's like bars, mate, and that's what you get. And then this is the fourth episode. The fifth one doesn't really have, let me check quickly. Fifth episode, I don't think it has any. Oh, it does have comments. Oh, okay. So the fourth episode was me debunking popular beliefs, where I was talking about things like that are accepted, like the social norms or things that people speak about all the times, and my experience with them. And like one of them was basically the whole thing about like you never have to work a day in your life when you're doing the things that you love. And I was like, nope, bro. Even if you love something, work is always gonna be work. And then I spoke about like how you're not always motivated, even though this is something that you love and you care about. And there was a comment that got me from Usposetu. And the comment was, what motivates you? Because with me, I think it's the people around you, the things that interest you. If you're not surrounded by Izindo that help you with whatever journey you're in, then you'll not find the strength or motivation to keep going. Because I spoke about like how, like we expect to be always be motivated because it's something that we love, right? and blah blah blah. And then that question was like, but what motivates you? Like, where do you draw that motivation from? Because we only have so much motivation in us that sometimes you, and that's the thing for me, is that sometimes I depend a lot on like intrinsic factors, like as a way, like a source of motivation, like to like, okay, today I'm feeling great, so I'm motivated to do this thing. Yeah, bro. But I never really thought about like the conversations you're having with people. Like, and when I say people, I don't mean conversations about the platform, because when I'm not talking to people about the platform, I do get things like to talk about on the platform. But as far as the platform and the creation process, the motivation to create, not to have the conversation, to create, it's like, if I haven't spoken to like a creative for the whole week, it becomes a bit difficult to think or to get motivated to work on this podcast, because I'm not speaking to enough podcasters. Yeah, bro. And I was like, yo, this is actually a very interesting angle. I've never thought of it like that. For the most part, I've relied a lot on the intrinsic as a sort of source of motivation. So when I'm not motivated, I actively go and seek motivation, which is evidently not sustainable. And I was like, this is something to think about. And to be quite honest, it's something that I'm still, bouncing my thoughts around, because it just came. It was a different way to think about it. It was a different way to think about it, and perhaps it kind of then answers that thing of like, why are we not always motivated even though we're doing the things that we love? Is it the space that you're in? Is it the type of conversations you're talking about? Because there's this thing about like, if you lay with the dogs, you end up with the fleas. So if you talk about like, let's say I hang out with accountants, only accountants, all they talk about is numbers. Where am I actually going to draw motivation to do a podcast on like something like Usipilo on the platform, which is very creative? If all I'm talking about is numbers, they do assist in some way, but how am I filling in that reservoir of motivation as far as the platform is concerned? So it was a nice thing to think about, and I think it's something that you guys should also go whenever you're chasing your passion or whenever you're chasing your goal. Go back home, go sit in your corner and think to yourself, what motivates me, and where do I draw that motivation? And when that tank depletes, where do I get the source to fill it up again? Because like I said, you're not always going to be motivated regardless of what you are working on, even if it's something that you love and you're passionate about. And sometimes it becomes so easy to have a distorted image of your path, because you think, oh, I'm not motivated when I'm doing this thing, or I don't always want to do it, therefore I'm in the wrong path, which is dangerous, because now you're leaving something that you're actually destined for, or something that you should be working on, because of that motivation that is gone. So I think just sitting down sometimes and thinking to yourself, okay, I'm not motivated today. I love what I'm doing. Yes, I'm not motivated today. So where can I get this motivation from? And just to be conscious of the environment that you're in and the places where you usually draw that motivation from, whether it's active and whether it's passive. But I think most importantly, linking it to the habits part. If, for example, every time I come back home, I sit outside the veranda and then I look at the trees and I get motivated to come and record. It's the passive thing, because I'm not actively thinking, but I'm going outside to draw inspiration from. But I've noticed, but every time when I come back from outside, I always want to record something. Now I'm able to identify, but maybe I draw motivation from looking at trees. Maybe I draw motivation from talking to 5 people a day. I draw motivation from going on social media. So it was a very simple question, but it really got me thinking, especially because there was context provided after that for her. The people around her, do contribute to the things, to how she moves basically, and just how they contribute to the things that interest her. So thank you for that comment, man. Thank you for that comment. It really is a gem. And yeah, then there's quite a few other posts here where it says motivation is cute, from Simpio. Motivation is cute and all. It's actually a downfall of some sort, because you end up overexerting yourself when motivated, and give yourself reasons to rest. And I think, and I didn't really touch on it in the other episode, but this is actually very true, because now when you're motivated, you're gassed up. Like I said, I can record, I can mix, I can do all the things when I'm motivated and gassed up. But then the following week, I don't feel the same way. And then it becomes a bit hard for me to actually continue now to record again, because I'm not motivated enough to do it. So this is actually, you overexert yourself, and then you think, you justify why you're not gonna work next week. So yeah, another one. And then the last one that I want to touch on was a comment from Usoloms Usoli, where he says, so Tina fans, or the subscribers or the viewers, what are we called? And yeah, the answer for now, I don't know. But if you do have any name suggestion, please do share them with me. If you are tuning in and you have a name suggestion that you want to throw at, of a way that I could refer to you guys, please do let me know. And because, like, again, this is your platform as much as it is mine, and it's my journey, it's your journey, it's our stories. And yeah, so just let me know if you do have any name suggestions. And like I said, even with the name of the platform, I asked from you guys. So with the name of the subscribers and the viewers and you people tuning in, you let me know what you would prefer for you to be referred as. So yeah, 35 subscribers later, and a couple of views and comments. I'm very grateful to you guys, like I said, for the continued support. The growth of the channel is not just the numbers for me, it's the conversations and the type of conversations that we are having. And I really do hope we continue to have meaningful conversations where we grow and we get depth, where we are able to introspect, self-reflect, and also take accountability for our thoughts and for our actions. And yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing journey going forward, man. And whatever you want to get started with, do get started. If you do have any questions of how I started my platform and what equipment I was using, or how am I going around navigating with the challenges I'm facing, please do ask me. And if it's something that I do, I'm not a specialist, but if it's something that I can provide a response on, I will. And I mean, I am the master of my own experience. So if you do ask, I will give you a very detailed what of my experience. So thank you again for tuning in. And sorry to touched on the last one. Why is the light to the passage that leads to the door that we often neglect? This was the last episode number 5. Why the importance of why. So please do tune into that episode and do leave some comments below. And like I said, I hope to continue with this culture of where I go through the comments and I talk about some of the things a bit more, so that the people that don't go through the comments can also get some value from the other people's perspectives and stories. So yeah, like I said, my job is literally sometimes just to be the vessel of what people are saying, and sometimes it's to share my own experience. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you again next week. Thank you so much. Bye.